Hi everyone, welcome to this week's edition of Face Friends. I'm Kelsey, I am 29 years old, I'm from Alberta, Canada, and I have two sisters, family, yeah, that's a little bit about me, and this is my amazing co-host.
Hey guys, Penny. I am 38. I always have to think about that. As you get older, you realize you forget the number, and it means less and less. So I am 38, turning 39 in a couple of months. I have two older sisters as well. 3 senior crazy dogs. I am a caretaker for my mom, along with my sister. I own a home, and I just am enjoying life, and I'm very happy to be doing this podcast with Kelsey.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you for asking me to do this podcast. Super excited. So on this week's episode, we thought that we would discuss our life beyond our differences, and our life, our lives don't revolve around our differences. They just don't. And I'm sure that for myself personally, there are instances in my day-to-day life when I am reminded about my difference, but I would say generally that my life does not revolve around the difference. So I thought that since in episode 1 we kind of introduced ourselves, a little about our stories, how we met, I thought that in this episode, just for the first 5 or 10 minutes, we could kind of get into our conditions, the conditions that we were born with, and I think that would be interesting for our viewers or listeners.
Hey guys, editor Penny here, editing. I'm just inserting this to let you know that the episode didn't really go the way we thought. So this episode is more about us discussing our conditions and asking each other questions that we really hadn't asked each other before. So you guys get to hear our honest answers to our honest questions to each other. But next week we will absolutely talk more about our life beyond our differences, as Kelsey has said. So
I guess I'll start. I have a rare neurological condition called Mobius syndrome. Mobius is super rare. It only affects about, they don't really know how many people it affects, but they think it's about 2 to 5 per million births, and there's less than 10,000 people worldwide with Mobius, so I guess that's kind of interesting. And so Mobius syndrome is the underdevelopment or malformation of the cranial nerves, which is the nerves in your brain that control facial movement, eye movement, hearing, seeing, swallowing, a bunch of different things. And actually, Mobius syndrome, it affects everyone. So Mobius affects everyone a little differently. So for me, I'm mostly affected like facial. Everyone who has Mobius syndrome has facial paralysis or facial weakness. That's one of the diagnostic criteria for Mobius. So I have like the facial paralysis. It affects my tongue, so my tongue is paralyzed. It affects my speech. And And for me, personally, like those are the two big things that it affects my, like I can't move my face. I had surgery when I was really young to be able to like kind of smile. But some people, and then my speech, but some people with loneliness have feeding tubes or breathing tubes or missing limbs or malformed limbs. Like some people have really small hands. Um, it really varies and affects people quite differently from person to person. And it's just they're not sure of the cause. We're not sure if it's genetic or not. And it's so rare that there is not a ton of research into it. I mean, research is going on right now, but there hasn't been a ton. Um, so we don't really know what causes it. It's congenital, which means you're born with it. You don't acquire it. Yeah, so that's a little about me and Mobius. And if anyone is interested, I can link, or we can link in the description box to the Mobius Syndrome Foundation website if anyone is interested in learning more. And again, yeah, that's if anyone has any questions about Mobius or anything, oh,
Yeah.
do you?
Do you mind?
No.
So I will admit to our listeners and our viewers, I had heard of Mobius syndrome. Being in the facial difference community, you do hear about different syndromes, and I'm generally intellectually curious, and I always Google things. So I had known a little bit about Mobius, but I will admit, Kelsey, have been the first individual I had met that has Mobius. But I guess my question, Kelsey, would be, and again, you can say, nah, that's not something I want to answer. That's fine. But did your parents know in utero that this was going to be something that you were going to be born with, or was this something that was diagnosed after you were born?
Yeah, so that's actually a really good question. No, they did not know. I don't know, like, this was like 30 years ago. So I don't know if, like, now, if there's, like, if you can test, I have no idea. But back then, no, they didn't know. And I actually wasn't diagnosed until I was about, I think, 6 months old, because
Oh,
it's it's so rare that like the doctors really had no idea. They thought it was one thing, but they weren't really sure. So they kind of diagnosed me with something that it wasn't. And then actually, there was a doctor at the hospital who I guess had seen one other person with Mobius in their like 20 years. And so she was the one who said, I think this is what it is. And she actually ended up being my pediatrician until I was 18.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah. So she was really the one basically was diagnosed Mobius. So, and then she ended up being my doctor, which is hilarious. But yeah, no, I wasn't, my parents had no idea. And, and like when I was born, the doctor said that they thought I was blind and deaf and all this. And I mean, if you're like a parent and you hear that when you just have a baby and like, oh yeah, they're blind and they're deaf and like, but I mean,
There's a lot of things going through your mind and
right,
challenges and things.
yeah, and they had no braces. Like the doctors had no braces, they just assumed. And then they found out, obviously later on, that wasn't true. But so yeah, I
Were your feedings good? Did your mom breastfeed you, or did they bottle feed you? Like, did you have, because your tongue is paralyzed? I know for me, and I'll talk about my conditions in a little bit, but that was an issue for me, like getting sustenance and stuff like
right.
that. Was that a challenge for you and your parents?
It was because I have no, like, I can't move my lips, so I have like no suction. So they had to use like a special bottle, and I think they actually had to like cut a hole in the in the nipple and then like squeeze somehow. I don't really know, but yeah, they had to. It was apparently really complicated. And then I think, and then some people that I know that have movies have feeding tubes, or
Mm-hmm.
well, I guess in my stomach, and they can eat by mouth. So, and I know someone actually from Saskatchewan. Their son has movies, and I don't. I think he started eating solid foods until he was like 4.5. So again, it really affects everyone differently.
Yeah.
And
So it is like a spectrum and different presentations of it and different, just like anything, it's like a snowflake. Everybody, everyone can have the same colored hair, but it's still different or
exactly.
anything like that. So
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah. So it was a long. It wasn't like I was born and then was like, oh, okay, this is what, and this is like there's something going on and this is what it is. It was like I was born and they were like there's something going on, but we don't really know what. So and then
did they keep you in hospital for a long time, like for that period until you were diagnosed, or they're just like, oh, we figured out how she can eat, now out the door she goes, or do you know how long you were in hospital?
I was in the hospital, I believe, for about 6 months in the NICU. I could do not about that though. 6 months? No, I think it's 6 weeks. You know what? I'm gonna have to confirm this information, and I will update. I will update in the next episode. But I believe it was a long time now. So anyway, to answer your question in short, yes, I was in the hospital. I swear I was told 6 months, but that sounds like a long time. So I'll have to confirm that. But yeah. So I was definitely kept in the hospital for a while. Yeah. Do you want to talk about yours?
Sure. So I have a few diagnoses because I wasn't blessed with just one. I think what they finally settled on, and it's not what the paperwork I think says, but I have something called golden hair syndrome, and I have something called left hemifacial microsomia. I used to pronounce that incorrectly for literally years. Essentially, what it means for me, and same with Mobius, is people generally you're born with one or the other. Uh, Sometimes you'll see literature that overlaps them, or says that one thing's one thing, one thing's another, or they'll interchange them. From the research that I've done and stuff like that, they are two distinct, separate things with their own distinct presentations. So when I was born, the my jaw, so my left side, There's no, like, I don't have a joint there. So you have your jaw joints. My left one is absent. There's nothing there. I'm missing my zygomatic arch, or my cheekbone. There's nothing here. My orbital socket is kind of there, not completely, and not what you would consider normal. For most people who have the condition, it impacts one side or the other. For me, I thought, up until probably a couple of years ago, I thought it only impacted my left side. However, I did get some paperwork from the hospital, some of my clinic notes and discharge papers, where I got to read and learn more about what it was like when I was born. So I was able to fill in some gaps there. But I did learn that I have what are called clefts. So a cleft is when there's a space between tissue where there's either tissue absent, or it's just sagged in, or it's just not there. So yeah, exactly. So my left eyelid was completely cleft. There was nothing there, and you can, and I don't know if, like, you can see kind of, there's like a space. Actually, I go this way. There's a space where there's no eyebrow.
Yeah.
So there's what's called a complete cleft. So it went completely down. And on my right side, actually, it was cleft as well. Not as bad, but both my eyelids and eyebrows were cleft. My nose was cleft, meaning that there was no support. So I didn't have a bridge on my nose or anything like that. It was just kind of like sunken in. So it looked like I had kind of like two noses. My top jaw is still what's called an unrepaired midline cleft. So although I didn't have a cleft palate, the actual bone itself is in two pieces. So beyond, so if I were to describe the roof of my mouth, it's like a steeple. So where most people's are, it's nice concave, and they can touch their tongue to the roof of their mouth. Mine is more of a steeple. So there's no, yeah, so it's just really whatever, because there's no bone, and like, so the soft tissue is just going straight up. So there's nothing, there's no bone there. I was born with a tumor in my brain, which I didn't know that I thought I was diagnosed with the tumor in 2011, but I learned after that I apparently had it my whole life.
Wow.
Yeah, that would have been something that would have been great to know, but
okay.
Yeah, no. So it's been there for 38 years, and as far as I know, it hasn't grown. I see a neurologist regularly, and we keep an eye on it just because it's that type of tumor where it can grow. Because of the tumor and where it is, it actually caused the portion of your brain where it connects one hemisphere to the other to be malformed. So there was, I don't want to say, it's going to sound rude, and I don't mean it this way. I will say I was kind of lucky, because a lot of people with that condition suffer a lot of issues. And I definitely had coordination issues, and that explained a whole lot. But yeah, like, I will fall, just like, I can just be standing and I'll just go like one of those goats. I'm not coordinated. Like, you can see I have bruises. Like, I have bruises everywhere all the time. I just kick things and hurt things. But yeah, so a lot of my facial differences are structural. I have one of the other presentations of golden Haar syndrome is that you have skin tags and dermoid cyst on the eye. So I did have skin tags when I was born, again, on my right side here, and then I had one on pretty much on the tip of my nose. And I do have a pretty big cyst on my eyeball that you can see, and I actually have a couple of others that are tucked away that you can't see. So mine is involved structurally. So my tongue isn't normal. It's not paralyzed like Kelsey's, but I can't stick my tongue out. I would say my tongue is like it's micro. There's not a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what my tongue looks like?
Sorry.
Do you want to see what my tongue looks like?
Yeah. Can you stick it out?
Oh my god.
Okay.
Okay.
See mine?
Yours.
That's it. That's as far as I can stick mine out.
Okay. So. That's
we compare tongues.
Yeah. I'm comparing.
Yeah, it impacts my vision, so I'm legally blind in my left eye. When you go to the eye doctor and they show you the big E, I can't even see that on my left side. I am more deaf in my left ear than I used to be, thanks to a surgery that I had that failed. But now I'm legally, well, I don't know if people classify deafness as legal or not, but I'm pretty much deaf in that ear. My hearing and my sight on my good side, my right side, has a moderate loss. So my sight is definitely, I can't drive legally. I can't get my license. Like that's how bad my vision is. And then my hearing on my good side is definitely good. Like it's not great, especially in crowds and all that stuff. It's not great, but I get by with it. So yeah, that's all of my medical issues in a nutshell.
Yeah, in a nutshell.
That's a lot.
That's fun, yeah. So I guess I'll ask you the same question. I'm so creative. Did your parents know before you were born?
Honestly, I don't know. My mom, and I do love her, and I will always try not putting her down, but she's not the most motherly mom. So she didn't keep any journals, she didn't keep any records. Her memory is that of a goldfish, or she chose not to remember. And it's frustrating, but it is what it is. So I honestly don't know whether they knew or not. What I do know is when I was born, I was helicoptered. So I did ride in a helicopter once. I was helicoptered on the day I was born from Kitchener, where I was born, to sick kids in Toronto, where I was there for about a little over a month. And then I was, the discharge notes aren't clear as to what happened, but because I was a volunteer at the hospital I was born in for quite a number of years, the NICU nurses know me. Like they knew me when I was a baby. So I'm quite confident that I was probably helicoptered back here, where I stayed at Grand River. I think I was, based on what I remember my mom telling me when I was younger, I was there for quite some time because I was underweight. I was under 5 pounds. Wow. And I couldn't feed either. If I was born today with those same issues, I have no doubt I would have been given a JG tube or G tube, which is as Kelsey mentioned, some of the other friends that she knows that have Mobius have a feeding tube, and it's called a JG tube or a G tube. It depends on what part of where it's going. I would have been given one of those because I couldn't, like you, I couldn't suck. I still can't. I don't drink out of I don't use a straw the same way a person does. I can't use my lips to suck at all. I actually don't have any feeling in my bottom lip at all.
Oh, I don't have any feeling in my cheeks. I'm like, I can't feel that at all. I can feel it like on my hands when I'm touching it, but don't feel.
So do you have feeling on the inside? So when you, like, when you're eating food, can you feel that it's touching?
A little bit, but I don't. Well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I mean, yeah, I do. I can feel like. I can feel
So
like.
if you eat something hot or cold,
Yeah. I can feel that. That's
so,
a good point though, because I can feel it on the inside, but not on the outside. So
so
it's.
I have no feeling a lot in the inside of my mouth. I don't know if that's because of the surgeries I've had that have cut the nerves, or it was something I always had, but I always have to be careful if I eat something too hot, because I can't feel it. Then I run the risk of burning myself without knowing it. So, yeah, but yeah, I didn't feed my mom. I was fed with an NG tube, so a feeding tube that goes through your nose into your stomach.
Okay.
That's how I was fed while I was in hospital. And my mom did tell me when I was home, when I finally was able to come home, she fed me with an eyedropper. That's how I got fed. So, yeah. That wasn't, and I'm sure she told the doctors that. I definitely would have gotten it too. I was labeled as what's called failure to thrive because I did not grow. I did not gain weight. I did not grow in stature for a very, very, very long time. I was still wearing size 6X in like grade 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was generally the oldest kid in the class, but I was always half the size of everybody else. So I had trouble, and I still have trouble eating certain foods, and things have to be cooked and have to be soft, and I don't have good. My teeth were all. It's like they put my teeth in like the boggle, the game boggle, or Yahtzee, and then just threw them because I'm missing some. I have duplicates of some.
Oh.
They're not in order. So yes, I definitely have a hard time eating even now. So, but yeah, my parents didn't. I don't know if they knew. But yeah, I don't know. I wish I did. I wish I could go back in history and see that time, because there's a lot of holes that are missing that I'll never get the answers to, unfortunately.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, but that's what it is.
Yeah. So how many surgeries would you say you had?
Oh Lord, upwards of 30, I think. I have had definitely 2 major attempts at reconstruction. So that's the first one was when I was 5, where they took donor bone and tried to graft it onto what bone I do have, and they wire your mouth shut in an effort to heal it. And then about 5 months later, it failed. I had a huge, horrible infection. And so I went back into the hospital, where they took out the graft and cleaned out all the infection. So that was all for nothing. And then they tried again when I was 16. And they took my own bone, so I'm missing on my left side. I have a giant scar down my leg where I'm missing the tibia, so it's the outside bone of your leg, so I don't have that. And they used that because it has its own blood supply, so they thought that it would work. So again, they put it in, and it all seemed okay. I was in the hospital for a good long while. Apparently, I had signs of infection while I was still in ICU. They took me back to the OR and cleaned out the infection. That should have been a red flag right there, but nope. So go about my day and go about my life, and everything seemed okay. I definitely had, I remember, because I was older, so I have a lot more memory at that time. When I yawned, it clicked, like you could hear the bone clicking, like, and it felt like it was getting stuck. I hated yawning. And I remember falling a lot more, so my hearing was impacted. Like I remember getting up from the kitchen dining room table one morning after breakfast, and I remember I wanted to go. So the seat I was at, my back was to where the kitchen was, so I needed to get up and turn right so I could get to the kitchen. I stood up and knew I wanted to go right. I just went left, center, straight, right into an ornamental elephant thing that my mom had in there, and broke it. Thankfully, I was fine. It didn't survive. And then I had exploratory surgery to see why. And at that point, again, still no sign of infection, but they did realize that when they put the bone graft in, they pinched the ear canal, essentially taking whatever hearing I had left and just gone, done. So my body had to get used to no hearing on the left side. So that's why I was falling more than I normally did. It was always a running joke, and when I was a kid, that I was a klutz and that I would fall and something like that. Now that I know, because again, my mom didn't tell me about any of the tumor or the damage to the brain. So it was just a big joke that I would fall. And then when I was really young and I would fall, I never used to put my hands out. Like, when you go to fall, you put your hands out. I didn't. And again, now that I have the information that I didn't, that was, again, because of the damage to that part of the brain. So I had to learn how to fall without whatever. And it's a tribute to my body, I guess. I suffered 0 concussions. I suffered 0 breaks. None of that from all of the times that I fell and literally flat on my face.
Aww.
I suffered I used to have a goose egg every other day, but other than that, apparently I had no other trauma physically from that. And then about 5 months later, in November, so I had the surgery in June, so November, like a pustule thing was growing out of my head.
Oh.
It was weird, and we were like, oh, okay. And then I remember sitting in English class, and the girl sitting to my left, like, poked me, and she's like, you're leaking. And I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh, okay. And then pretty much 5 minutes later, I had a teacher got a call on the phone in the classroom saying that somebody was here to pick me up, and I went straight to sick kids from school, didn't stop at home, didn't grab anything. And I was told that night that I got to sick kids, I wasn't going anywhere. I had surgery the next day to clear out all of the infection.
Oh my gosh.
Essentially what happened was my body took the bone graft and just ate it. It just absorbed it into its, and just caused another horrible infection. So those are the 2 major operations that ended in horrible failure. I have had other either exploratory surgeries. I had a few what are called septorhinoplasties, so they try to fix the appearance of the nose and the internal structures they're in. I had surgeries when I was a baby to get rid of the skin grafts and fix the eyes and the eyelids. I don't honestly know how many that I've had, but it's my fair share, definitely. My last major one was that one in 96. I've had some other sinus surgery since then, but nothing major. But I am looking at exhaustingly trying to maybe do another bone graft. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that, but Yeah. So, and was it you've only had the one surgery, or have you had more?
Oh no, I've had like at least 15 or 20. Oh man, I had a club foot. Like I was born with a club foot, so it's like when your foot is, when your heel is like up, and it's the muscles are so tight that you can't your heel. So like this is your foot, but your heel is like up, and it's like so I have to go in and like kind of like cut the muscle. Um, I had the smile surgery actually at the St. Kitts in Toronto. So that was two, because they do it at like they do half of the time. So I had that. I've had many dental surgeries, eye
No,
surgeries.
I didn't include those.
Yeah, like four eyes, at least four eye surgeries. Um, I had my gallbladder taken out a couple years ago. Oh God. I don't know. I at least
A lot.
yeah, and I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work. No, it's not gonna work. I have like a scar. I have two scars. Um, behind my ears, because for the smile surgery, they take muscle from your thigh and they implant to your face, to like connect the nerves. And so, if I had not had that, I would have no movement at all, like down here. So like I can tongue smile, like stuff like that. So, but that the smile surgery and the eye surgeries, those have been the most, the biggest ones, the most invasive. Um, I also had laser eye surgery a couple times. I used to wear glasses, now I don't. And so I actually had to get my eyes lasered like twice, I think, or three times. That's that is not fun. It's not fun. And yeah, so a lot of surgeries.
Can I ask you a question about the smile surgery?
Yes.
Um, Other than the movement that it's given you, was the goal of the surgery to, did they, how am I going to say this? Did they position it in a way where they were telling either you or your parents if you were younger that it would improve your appearance? Is that how they like sold it to you or your parents?
Um, I think, I mean, not in those times, but I think like it was like yeah, like it will give her the ability to like move, have a better facial movement, being able to smile, and I also think that it helped with like lip closure and um and I think also that they thought it might help with my speech as well. So I think that it wasn't just like, oh, it will look better. Like I think it was more like it can actually have some like physical benefits as well. So um and so the smile surgery in the movies community is kind of controversial because
It might be.
people are like, well, by having the surgery, you're telling, like, it's cosmetic. You're telling that person that they're, like, they have to be able to smile, like, that, that's, like, society, that's a social construct, whatever. But then on the other side, it's like, no, like, I have, if I can gain the ability to have some facial movement, if it will benefit me, like, at all, then why would I not want to do it? And I mean,
would it be better if maybe they didn't call it smile surgery and called it like the actual medical term,
it is,
or the
it's medical.
individual procedure that someone's having? So you had muscle, either impregnation, or you had muscle transplant kind of thing. So would that be, is that seen as a more positive step in the Mobius community, or are there still some people who are like, just no?
Well, it does have a medical name,
Okay.
a scientific name. It's oh my god, I don't know it. It's something like,
you'll see it on the screen. You'll see it there.
oh yeah, yeah. We will put it there. No, it's it does have a medical name. We just call it smile surgery because
It's easier to say.
okay. And so I mean, I don't know. I think I don't really have a strong negative feeling toward it because I was 5 and 6 when I had it. So I don't. I mean, I remember being in the hospital. It was actually kind of a fun experience. I was like, I'm not gonna lie. I remember like at like 2 a.m. making my dad go get me like pudding or popsicles and stuff like that. And like watching movies. My grandparents came to visit because they lived in Carlton Place. I think my aunt and uncle came to visit, or someone, and they brought me this huge box of books, and I don't know, I just like it's kind of a positive experience. So, and I don't remember like having any pain or whatever. So, and now
I was thinking about that the other night as well, that I don't have any, not one, well, except when I was older and had a shitty nurse, but other than that, I didn't have any negative experiences. If anything, being in hospital, being around other kids who were going through similar surgeries or other, because at Sick Kids, they have, if those who don't know, Sick Kids is a hospital in Toronto specifically for children, for treatment of children for any number of conditions, and they have different floors in the hospital that are broken up into 4 wings, and each wing handles its own specialty. So I was on 8C, which is the top of the building, so it's a big, nice window, and that's called the Burns and Plastics unit. So anybody that's in that unit is having some kind of plastic surgery, and or is there because they have suffered 2nd or 3rd degree burns. So I got to know kids and play with kids, and for the most part, because I didn't do that in my life at home, because I was ostracized, I developed friendships, and I have a couple, well, I shouldn't say a couple, I have one specific friend that I'm still friends with to this day, and we shared a hospital room when I was 5 during my stay there. And so it was absolutely the most positive experience I've ever had. Same with what Kelsey said. I don't remember being in pain at all. I don't remember hating anything. I always knew why I was there. It wasn't like it was just my life. And I know a lot of kids are scared, and you see a lot of kids crying. I was never that kid. I was always like, oh, can I give myself that in the IV, or can I help do whatever? I always wanted to help and do things, and I never cried, and I never protested, and like, oh, you want to take blood? Like, it hurt, and I'm sure I cried about that, but I was never, yeah, it was always the most positive experience. We don't have a big family, so I didn't have any visitors really other than my sister, and but that was it. And when I was 16, I had some friends come up, or my sister had brought her friends to come visit me. And then when I had the fallout, and I had somebody drive me to my appointment or whatever, and I stayed overnight. I'm sure they obviously had to get consent from my mom for the surgery, but that was it. I didn't see my family at all for a week. I was in the hospital by myself.
Okay, yeah. So anyway, yeah, I like Sick Kids is really an amazing place. And also, I was in Toronto in 2018 to film the CBC show. And when I was there, I actually went back to the Sick Kids Hospital to see the surgeon who did my surgery 20 plus years ago. And he actually showed me around the unit. Well, he showed me around the whole hospital, but he showed me around the unit that I was on, which I think was the same unit that you were on. Plastics, and burn. And he showed me like their operating rooms and stuff, like really cool, kind of like behind the scenes tour. And I still, well, okay, so he is actually on the scientific advisory board for the William Syndrome Foundation, because he is the one who basically pioneered the surgery, the smile surgery, and so he's been part of the MSF for forever, and so I still keep in contact with him, and he's really just an incredible, not only surgeon and doctor, but also like just such a kind person, and so I really love like staying in touch with him, and I see him at conferences and stuff like that, and he's really amazing. He's super amazing.
I have a random quick question for you. So when you had your surgery when you were 5, was it the new Sick Kids, or was it still the old renovated Sick Kids? Do you remember? Because the hospital looked vastly different when I was young. When I had my first reconstruction surgery, and when I had my first nose, lack of better term, nose job, it looked vastly different than it does now. And when I was older and had surgery, do you remember if it, because you just saw what the hospital looks like now a couple of years ago, and that's what it was when I was 16.
Okay, I believe that's how it was when I was there. I don't like.
I'm so much older.
I'm not that much older. I don't really remember like the main. No, you know what? It totally was like that around there. I don't really like super remember like the main the main.
Okay, so you've been there recently, so you know where Timmy's is and like where Burger King is and all that is now. Like it's at the one side of the hospital where the like you go down the hallway and whatever, the Shoppers Drug Mart, and you keep going, and there's like the opens up, and it's like this big sitting area with the Tim Hortons and whatever. So that used to be the emergency department. So when you go out those doors, and you know how there's that cover, and there's like painted with the sky or whatever. That used to be the ambulance entrance back in the day when I first went there, and it looked so different. it looks great now, and I know they're building another one, or renovating, or building a whole new hospital.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was curious as to if you were. I didn't know how long it took them to do the renovations. I know you're only 9 years younger, so.
I think I mean, I don't remember it exactly.
Oh, no, that would make sense, because you're 9 years, and then you said you were 5 when you had
Yeah.
the surgery there. So that would put, so 9, yeah, that would make sense. That would be probably about in line for, they had probably finished the renovation a year or two before you had your surgery there. So
Yeah, I think so. I remember correctly. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, so you always got a private room then. So
Yeah.
back in
Yes.
my day, we shared
Again.
we shared rooms. So there's generally 2 patients, but they also had what's called a ward. So because it's sick kids and have a lot of little ones, ones who didn't need to be in like a ICU or whatever were in a ward. So it was like just a bunch of cribs in like this big room. It was really weird.
Wow. I actually um so I live in sorry, I'm just getting tests. My mind right now, sorry. I live in Calgary, so we have the Alberta Children's Hospital here. Like the wonderful opening, like sick kids is amazing. I would say the 2 best hospitals in Canada. I'm not okay, maybe I'm a little biased, but
Just
the
a little.
sick kids and the Alberta Children's Hospital. Being like so the children's the Alberta Children's Hospital, they actually went they built a whole new hospital. 2000, I think it was 2006. They built this new hospital. It's just amazing. It is an amazing facility.
Oh, that's awesome.
The outside, it looks like Lego. Like it looks like Lego bricks. I wish I had a picture. It is so, and the inside of the hospital doesn't look like a hospital. Like it's so beautiful, and the doctors and the nurses and everyone who works there are just incredible, and it's an amazing facility.
We're really lucky in Canada that we have both universal health care. Sorry to our American viewers. I'm sorry. That's a Canadian thing, but I am sorry. And we have really great. I can't speak for adult hospitals so much because I haven't really stayed in them much. But the children's hospitals, I don't think we could say anything bad about them.
No, they are absolutely phenomenal, and like you were talking about the like the rooms at the sickest and how you have to share a room. Well, that was like the old children's here as well.
Okay, that makes
But
sense.
in the new facility, they are all private rooms, except I think there's 4 is it one? Anyway, there's at least one shared room on each unit, but other than that, they're all private. So I was an inpatient at the Children's Hospital in 2006, I think, 2007. Well, now I'm sorry, but basically like blood pressure and stuff. So I was an inpatient, and I had my own room and my own bathroom, like just incredible. And it's an incredible hospital, and I really don't know how we got on to talking about how incredible hospitals are, but
It's one of those tangents and rants that will frequently go on.
oh yes, you have facts to look for it.
Yes, you do.
But yeah, just like I think in terms of medical care, like you said, I'm not gonna get into like political things, but man, are we incredibly lucky to have universal health care and the amazing resources that we have. And like, I've been called a socialist Canadian many times.
Yeah, I don't care if you call me socialist. I will gladly take. I joke. Well, not joke.
Yeah, no, dude, like.
But I always say that because I know of kids and I'm friends with their parents of kids who have similar conditions to what I have, and the amount of paperwork and loopholes and absolute bureaucracy and ridiculousness that they have to go through just to get care for their child is not something anybody should have to go through, and it breaks my heart that I have to see them fighting for that, or like GoFundMe campaigns and all of this other stuff. And it's just, I will take universal health care. I make a good living. I make enough to support my family. I pay for a roof over our heads. Like, I'm the one that's paying all the bills. Like, I can afford a good life. If I was living on my own, I'd be living a good life. Not that I'm not, but that's a whole other story. But if I was living on my own, I would have more than enough money, then I would know what to do with. I pay my taxes that I pay on a paycheck are what most people make in their paycheck. So the amount I pay in taxes is somebody else's regular paycheck take home. So I will gladly pay that and then some to ensure that healthcare is available for everybody, whether it's me or somebody who just came to this country or who's lived here all their life and whatever. Like, I will gladly help and pay for anybody through my taxes in order for them to experience universal health care. Is it perfect?
No.
Hell no. Like, no. But it ensured that when I was born, I didn't die. It ensured that when I was older and I needed MRIs every couple of years for my brain, the list goes on. I can go on all day. When I leave my neurologist's office, I don't have to worry about a bill coming in the mail, how I'm going to pay that. Wow. Everything is taken care of. And it's not free. I pay for it in my taxes. And for those who can't work for whatever reason, my taxes help pay for their health care. And I'm 100% here for that.
Right. And like, I've had people be like, oh, well, I was like, you don't want to pay 60% taxes. And I was like, listen, first of all, I don't pay.
It's not 60.
No, I'm paying 60% in taxes. But I will gladly pay taxes in order to ensure that let's put it this way. The amount that I pay in taxes is not a fraction of what I would have to pay for one surgery or one medical procedure in some other countries. So, I mean, anyway, I'm not, no politics, but, I mean, it's universal health care. Like, I can walk into a doctor's office. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow. I am not sitting here worrying about how I'm going to pay for that. Or, like, I'm not even going to bill for that office visit ever.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, fine. Yes, we pay higher taxes, tax and all that, but, like, also, those taxes ensure that we have healthcare available to us.
And our streets are clean.
Well,
rando fact there. Our streets are clean.
I like, yeah. And when it snows in the winter, they go in the snow. So you know what I mean? Like, anyway, I don't love taxes. No one does. But will I pay them and not complain about it? Yep, because I have seen the benefits. So, anyways, on that note, we are at an hour, I think. So we should probably wrap this up. But we will be back with another episode next week, and we will continue to talk about our lives and how our lives are not revolved around our differences or possible. But yeah, so thank you again everyone for joining. You can subscribe to this podcast. You can like us on social media, and we will link all of that in the description box. So
I'm still doing this.
I know. So link in the description box. We'll have some links to the Mobilism Foundation, and on social media. So please do like us or follow us or subscribe.
Will you like us? Will you really like us?
Please do that. And we'll be back. We will be back soon with a new episode. So
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
thank you so much, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.